If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just, you know, wait 3.5 years and release another one. I guess you could call that lazy if you want to be a dick about it. After all, this game is made from the same engine and assets as its predecessor, so in terms of actual content, you won't find much in this game you didn't see in the last one. And, I mean, if waiting almost half a decade before getting around to releasing a sequel isn't lazy, I don't know what is. But when the core design is this good, and the results are this fun, honestly, it doesn't matter in the slightest. This is KLONOA 2 Dream Champ Tournament, and lazy or not, this game is awesome. Starring our favorite unidentified mammalian hero, KLONOA 2 was a sequel almost 4 years in the waiting. The first portable KLONOA game launched alongside the Game Boy Advance in 2001, precisely 1,272 days before KLONOA 2 double jumped to store shelves. Now, using the same engine to quickly churn out sequels was basically standard practice on the Game Boy Advance, so there's no way this game took that long to actually develop. For whatever reason, Namco decided to hold on to this one until 2005, perhaps in the hope that people would forget about the original, thereby decreasing the sense of deja vu caused by this sequel. Because if you played KLONOA Empire of Dreams, you'll be abundantly familiar with KLONOA 2 Dream Champ Tournament. As with the first game, KLONOA 2 has to sacrifice the 2.5D level design that defines the console-based KLONOA games. That's obviously due to the hardware limitations of the Game Boy Advance, so the game is once again a prototypical flatformer in appearance. But along with the change in viewpoint, there's also a change in focus, and that's what makes the handheld KLONOA games work so well. They may not look like the main KLONOA games, but they're not trying to be those games either. Instead, KLONOA embraces a more puzzle-driven design on the Game Boy Advance, this game included. You have to find and collect 3 items to complete each level, most of which require some pretty serious puzzle solving to obtain. For example, one of the frequently used setups is that the item is just out of your reach, and you have to figure out how to use your foes and your surroundings to enable KLONOA to reach it with his patented double jump. Now obviously there are shades of that in the console games as well, but it's really embraced on the handheld side. And what's nice is that they still emphasize good platforming as well. Even once you've figured out how to reach an item, you still have to pull off some good jumping to reach them. Now, to its credit, the game also does a few things differently from Empire of Dreams, the first being its story and how that sets up its boss battles. KLONOA is entered into a tournament to determine the greatest of all heroes. Not exactly Oscar-worthy stuff, but it does set up the game's bosses. Instead of using traditional boss fights, the game uses that plot to explore more creative encounters, some of which are surprisingly challenging. There are also some interesting new sub-levels that play out in pseudo-3D. KLONOA kind of races forward in these pre-rendered challenges, and they're very effective in breaking up the platforming, not unlike similar levels in the Sega classic Sonic the Hedgehog 2. They're a fun diversion, and like the rest of the game, they look pretty good too. And once again, we have to thank Mohammed from Qatar. This guy, he's our main supplier of KLONOA awesomeness. We've reviewed just about every KLONOA game ever released here on CGR Undertow, and every single one of them was sent to us by Mohammed. He's the only guy I know who loves KLONOA more than we do, so thanks again, man, for sending a game that, honestly, we've been playing non-stop ever since. It's KLONOA 2 Dream Champ Tournament, an outstanding Game Boy Advance platformer, despite what, honestly, is kind of a painfully useless subtitle.